The Greenless world. I'd come to this strange and foreign world over 3 years ago as a scout for a phosphorus mining expedition, and here I had remained marooned since the nearest asteroid supply bases had been closed for lack of their necessary Earth-supplied material. There was never any darkness in this land where the sun always shone, not even inside the caves, for the phosphorus in the walls and the ground gave off a constant luminosity. This phosphorescent light had been hard to get used to at first.
For the Earth had been destroyed by a giant comet, one of the Perseids, the shower whose many precursions had given us the wonderful meteor shows of that name. I turned to Serena and spoke to her about it, having been unable to deal with it until now, and also because she had only recently gained the scientific knowledge to be able to understand solar system concepts. I was one of the lucky ones, Serena, for I was already out in space, had just recently launched, in fact, when the disaster hit my home planet Earth. You cannot know the shudder that went through me when I realized that all that I had loved was gone, that all that it was or could be, all that had formed me, given rise to me, was gone forever. My Earth was one of the most priceless work of art that the universe had ever known. This rock on which we now live is not even Earth's pale shadow. At least we do have pale shadows on your planet, though they are hardly noticeable. At first, when I saw Earth's fireball, I thought that I had seen a shooting star. But then, noting the origin and size of the spectacular explosion, I was overcome by a horrid feeling, one that was chill and sickly like any I'd never known, that it was indeed that the Earth had left us. I could do nothing but continue on, for the Earth had no equal in our solar system. Oh, we had long ago searched the entire galaxy in vain for such a paradise, but the Earth had remained unmatched.
Serena thought for a while, having only recently grasped the idea of a universe filled with worlds. She had never even seen stars in this land, in which night had never fallen.
But again, I was fortunate that she had an open and intellectual mind. So during our recent studies, I had been able to take her thoughts and her mind across many centuries of learning and knowledge, sequentially educating her step by step, using small and primitive learning blocks until reaching some rather complex theories. She was now able to understand such concepts as solar systems, space travel, physics, biology, and many other unseen wonders like oceans, rivers, and lakes, which, though quite impossible on her planetoid, were at least conceivable to her since she had often seen water bubbling up from the hot springs, which, by the way, were apparently the limited and unrenewable source of both water and oxygen on this near planet. We ventured outside the cave to begin a search for green, there being only one sun up now, although it was still a scorching 120 degrees outside. We lifted some rocks, finding various insects thereunder, but they were either brown, gray, drab, or colorless. I next peeled back some bark from a tree, hoping for some inner tint of mossy green, but it was only tan. I pulled up a plant and tore open a leaf, but had no luck with that either. Evidently, chlorophyll played no role on this planet. Next, we cracked open a rock, but found not the fabled color. This planet was indeed a greenless world.
Tell me again about the mysterious colors of black and green, she requested.
Black is easier to tell of, so let's start with it, I answered. Black is the absence of all color, and so it is the opposite of white, which amazingly is the sum of all colors, although white reveals not a one of them except through a prism. Since your life is based on phosphorus, you see a dim yellow even as a background color when you shield your eyes.
But when I close my eyes, I see a black background. I can't think what would be there if not for the yellow glow.
I'm afraid I'm not doing a good job of explaining.
Try harder, she encouraged.
Then it hit me. What a fool I've been, I said. I have an old-fashioned ink pen somewhere in my spaceship, one that writes in black on something old called paper. At once I retrieved it and the pen still worked as I ran it along my skin. That is the color of night, my dear. This is black. See how dark it is?
I see now, she said. It is as I thought, being the limit reached by the removal of all light, the color hinted at by shade and shadow, the color just past brown, at least for me, a lack of color really, like you said. But I still do not understand what is green. Do you have any green ink?
Then I noted a flash of inspiration on her face. She smiled and suddenly looked straight up into the bright blue sky as none had ever dared to, then covered her eyes and screamed with delight.
I see green, Patrick, she cried. I see it, it's green.
I quickly did the same as she, and yes, the mixing of the blue sky with the yellow afterimage of the phosphorus ground had produced a clear and vivid green. She had at last beheld the verdant color of earth.